and welcome back to another episode of the Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and today on this day, I have with me a gentleman by the name of Andre Wright. He's a father, entrepreneur, author of a very unique line of children's books that I'm looking forward to having him share with us today. But first and foremost, as I always do, I like to take a quick moment to pause. Say thank you to you for making time for me today. Time is a gift. Once we give it, we cannot get it back. So I appreciate you carving out this space in your day to talk with me. And with that, Mr. Wright, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be a part of this. Being able to talk about myself, why not?
Awesome. Now, as I mentioned, you have some children's books out, a series of children's books out, but I want to let everybody know as we get started, although I am talking to just you today, you are actually part of a dynamic duo, a father and son team. So it's you and your son that has written these books together, collaborated together. So I'm curious, how old was the little guy when you guys started this project?
Well, he's more of shoot stuff out. You know, he's a big imagination, like the character in the story. He's a wild imagination, big kid, big imagination, and then it's just kind of just constructing that and putting that in there, you know. So that's all it really is. Okay. So it wasn't tumultuous or anything like that. I know him, you know what I mean. I know how he works. I know who he is. So yeah, it wasn't too challenging.
Yeah. So how old was he when you guys started this?
How old were? He's 9 now. This is probably when he was like around 6 or 5, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. So it took a while. The process itself was long because it's one of those things where you don't know exactly where to start. And if I could say anything, it was kind of like a gift and message from God, like, hey, this is what you're gonna do, kind of the whole thing. And I was like, I've never written a book before. How am I gonna start? And you just start. So anyone out there that wants to do anything, all you have to do is just start. You learn as you go, if anything.
Okay. So when you started, you had to find an illustrator and all of that stuff, or did you illustrate it yourself? Oh, okay. So how'd that work out?
That process was that process was fun. Writing the story itself was easy. It was finding the illustrator that was the most challenging part, because you have an image of the character in your head, and I wanted the character to look like my son when he was younger. He had a big old fro and line and everything like that. So I found one. They did a great job, but then they disappeared. Then I had to go through the tedious process of continuously looking for other ones that can match their autistic talents and kind of recreate the character that was created. And that was challenging because you have people that swear they can do the best job in the world. And then when you look at it, it's like, no, that's not going to work. And you have other people that have ideas of their own on how the character should look. It's like, no, that's not the vision. Again, it was that part was the most challenging part. Then I finally came across, ironically enough, I came across this after I started my Dad's What We Do page. And I found this artist. I was going through that process, and it's an older elderly lady by the name of Ola the Artist. I believe that's her tag name on Instagram. Okay. She's been doing this for years. I reached out to her, asked her if she could do it, kind of tested her a bit on, mimicking the character. She did it no problem. And then from there, book 1 and book 2 were created by her. Illustrated.
Amazing. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Now I want to talk about the main character in the book is this very interesting, dynamic guy called Brian Lyon.
Yeah.
So how did he come to be? What's the background story behind him?
Well, Brian Lyon is my son. It's my Anthony Marcel. His name's Anthony. My son's name is Anthony Marcel. Okay. But Ryan Lyon is the character just because it rhymes, essentially. There's no big, the meaning behind it, it's a lion because I love lions. I believe my son loves lions as well. It's one of my favorite animals. It represents, being a lion is the king of the jungle. So you wanted that representation. His hair, I actually have the image of him right here. That is Ryan Lyon right there. His hair represents both my son, because that's what my son looked like when he was younger,
Okay.
as well as, it's an Afrocentric character. You know what I mean?
Okay. Gotcha.
So we wanted that to kind of really stand out and be kind of the thing that kind of sets him apart, really distinguishes him as both a lion, but also you can see that he has an afro, right? That representation is there.
Yeah. And you talk about representation for generations. Children's books didn't really have any representation of Black children. So when you started to create this process with your kid, was that very important to you that you have those themes?
Yeah, absolutely. The stories are based on our dynamic. It's based on our relationships, our relationship. It's derived. These are actually, obviously we take creative licensing, but these are based on true stories, essentially. So first story, Ryan Lion Hide and Seek, is actually derived from we play hide and seek. We played hide and seek. We don't play it much now just because my place is too small and we've already kind of hidden everywhere we could hide. Yeah. But essentially we were playing hide and seek, and not spoiler alert. And my son couldn't find me, got a little distressed. And then I came out and reassured him that everything's going to be okay. I'm right here. And, it's that kind of identity that I've developed throughout my course of becoming a father, is ensuring that if I'm going to do anything, I mean, provision's good and all those things are good, but to make sure that I'm there for him. And that process has been a roller coaster, but it's a promise that I've made for myself. And it's one that I think is the message that's relayed in this story. And I believe a lot of parents, a lot of fathers can really recognize and, really feel it within themselves, where it's like, yeah, I want to be there for my child, no matter what, whatever, a lot of fathers don't get the recognition that they deserve.
True, very true.
We get a lot of, especially Black fathers, it's already kind of, you're like, as I develop into becoming a father, I say develop because you have to learn that identity. And it took me a while because it was, you're learning about patience, you're learning about understanding, you're learning about how they're just children, and a lot of what they're doing is some stuff that you used to do. So you can't really get mad, but then at the same time, you're trying to instill these values of honesty, integrity, communication, and all these other things, all these other elements that really kind of for both you to kind of communicate with it. So like when my son asks me something, I can say, hey, is that the truth? And regardless of whatever it is, it's just okay. As long as you're being honest with me, then we could work through. So that's always been a process. Again, I'm up top. I will ramble on. So please.
Do you? This is your day. This is your day, and I'm here to listen to everything that you're doing. Wonderful. I mean, in fatherhood, Black fatherhood, to hear the stories about it is so important, because a lot of times society likes to portray the image that you guys are not present, that you're not involved, that you're not, creating and nurturing your children, be it sons or daughters. And so it's very important that we hear stories like yours and what you're doing, because it challenges the narrative. And it also lets people know that there's more guys out there than they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
It's exactly, Lana, exactly. And that's what the first story really kind of depicts, where I'm there. Like, it might be, you might not be seeing right, but I'm here. I'm always going to be there. And then the second story, Ryan Lion, A Lion's Worth, really kind of depicts more of the lessons that are learned from his father. What Ryan has learned from his father. And he sets the example for his fellow schoolmates. And a lot of parents don't recognize that a lot of the things that, they spend so much time with us, so much time at school, outside of friends, but the foundation of who they are is found in the home. And I feel like nowadays, we have a lot of electronics raising our children, technology, media raising our children, and we really need to get back to the fundamentals of spending time with our child, playing with our child, teaching our children. Teachers can only do so much, but I promise you, if you spend some time with your child, going through their homework, learning about how they learn, and then being able to adapt that style of learning with them, they'll do exponentially more better than, you know, than they probably expected, or the average child. My son right now is a part of the gifted program. You know, he's gone through tutoring. Myself, he knows I'm serious about my homework. I've taught him so much, and you know, I got to give credit to his tutor. What's her name again? I can't remember her name now, but she's an amazing tutor. And yeah, it was just one of those things where, you know, you kind of really have to invest into your children. Oh, Miss Natalie, that's right. Thank you, Miss Natalie. He's always listening. And that's another thing. You got to be very careful what you say, because these children are always listening. You're on a phone conversation, whatever, they are listening.
I'll go over here so I can hear it.
Yeah, see?
Since we're taping now, let's have him peek in and just wave and say hello. Because I spoke to him.
Marcel, come say hi real quick.
Say hi to the audience.
He's fully armored now. So say hi to everybody.
Hi. There's the co-author, everybody, so everybody can see. Wonderful meeting you. You don't give Dad too much of a hard time, do you? Oh, Dad's laughing. Oh, and look at the eyes. Yeah. Precious. And I do want to let everybody know, you are doing this all as a single father, right?
Yes. Well, he does have a mother as well. She's very much involved in his life, but yeah, you know, we're separated. We're co-parents. Yeah. But yeah, she's very much involved in his life. I don't take anything away from her. She's very much involved. She very much loves her son.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
precious. So how is the young one there kind of adjusting to working with Dad and being a celebrity author? How's that, you know, impacted him?
It's one of those things where I don't feel like he fully realizes that not only the potential, like he has kids that come up to him and it's like, oh, you're Ryan Lyon, like, you know, and are inspired by him to write books and to do stuff for themselves. And I don't think he fully realizes. My son is very much into, you know, playing games and stuff like that. And he doesn't really, and what's ironic is he'll come up to me and like, Dad, this guy on YouTube, I want to start a YouTube. I'm like, buddy, you already have something going on that I promise you, if you were to invest that same kind of energy that you're looking for, it would blow up exponentially. And so I'm, you know, trying to get that to resonate within his head. But eventually he will understand. I think him going back to school, and you know, we also have an apparel line out. That again, all of the entire Ryan Lyon brand, a little segue, is about, you know, representation. It's about morality. It's about positivity. So even our apparel line will have that. Will be an extension of that. We came out with a line of Ryan Legacy apparel, recognizing the ones that came before us. You have Muhammad Ali's, you have the Malcolm X, and you have the Martin Luther King's. And we put it in the Ryan Lyon format. So you have Ryan Ali, you have Ryan Martin Luther King, you have Ryan X, you know, all these things that kind of represent and pay homage to those that paved the way for us.
So not to cut you off, that's what I saw on your Instagram, the graphics where you have the icons next to Ryan Lyon. Yeah. I thought that was so precious. That is a powerful imagery, you know, and I think, how did that come about? You just came up with that concept, or how'd you? Yeah,
essentially, because again, you go back. So I have a background in marketing and business. Okay. So, you know, I love the creative aspect of what I do. And I want the brand in itself, again, goes back to the fundamentals and foundations of bringing back the moral of the story, essentially, is one of the tags, and believing that our children are our future. So, you know, investing into them, their ideologies, their mentalities, etc., having them to believe in themselves and not have these other aspects, you know, just themselves, who they are as an individual, as a boy, as a girl, as a Black girl, as a Black boy, as what doesn't matter, and just being able to see themselves in the characters, because, you know, there's various characters that Ryan Lyon will be displaying, and just having those words of encouragement that are backed with what's represented within these images. So, the story continues throughout the books, essentially.
Awesome. Now, did I read correctly that throughout the books, there's some very powerful imagery that people need to make sure they don't miss, some sort of symbolism or something like that? Did I read that?
Which one? In the books?
Yes, in the books, like reference to African culture or Egyptian culture or something. Did I read that, or maybe
There's this.
Okay.
There's one of the people's favorite pages. One of the kind of, what would they call it? Easter eggs is the hieroglyphs that in this.
Oh, okay.
Reads. I got to transcribe. I love AM. Sorry, yeah, I love AM or something like that.
Okay.
So I got the illustrator put that in there. But I think maybe you might be referring to the father in his Afrocentric. So he has dreads.
Okay. Yeah. A spin on Mufasa. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So made it very clear. I mean, made his skin a lot darker as well, to make it very clear
who he was. Okay, well, I got you. So you guys are working on the third one now, or what?
Third one has already been rendered. Again, it's the illustrator. So third one should be coming out next year, hopefully. Right now, we're developing the brand in its entirety, continuing with the books and various aspects of the apparel. So you got the teachers we're going back to school. Kids are going back to school next month. So to have a schoolyard full of people wearing Ryan Lion merchandise. And it's not for the ego. It's really not. It's for the representation, because, when people, wear Louis Vuitton, they feel a certain way. When they wear Balenciaga, I can't even pronounce some of these stuff. When they're wearing a brand, they feel this luxury, item. When they wear Ryan Lion or they represent Ryan Lion, Ryan Lion represents, again, the morality. It represents confidence. It represents leadership. It represents strength, honesty, and all these things that have been really kind of missing in the passing years.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary when you think about it, of what our children will inherit years to come, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, what they inherit, what kind of world they inherit, where good is bad and bad is good. Like, I don't know.
It's really twisted. We have a lot of entitled people these days, and it's, I didn't grow up like that. And you're talking about a lot of inner core values that the book really teaches. I'm wondering, has your son had an opportunity to read to the other kids in his class and stuff like that? Because it seems like it will be a wonderful teaching tool.
Yes. So, his school has been very good. Actually, he's been on online school because of the whole COVID stuff. So he hasn't really had, but I do believe he did read in class one day online for the class. Which was really cool. There was a newsletter earlier this year, I believe it was February or March, where he was featured in it and was cited on being an inspiration to us all. So I'm very excited to see what happens in the up and coming school year with, everything being new. We're really trying to go full force with the whole Ryan Lion aspect of things, and really kind of being the catalyst of that change, or at least the catalyst of the assistance of change, the moral compass. Because growing up, I remember watching shows like He-Man and She-Ra, and no matter how violent they were, there would be a message at the end of it, teaching you to be honest, to be kind, be brave, all these things. And we don't have that no more. We don't have that at all. They teach the little babies and stuff, like they'll teach the babies that stuff, but it needs to be something that is consistent throughout, the tender years up to even teenagehood, where even used to have commercials that were a war on drugs. They don't do that now. Now we have things where it's just like, what, our prime minister is going to give out crack pipes. You know what I mean? Okay. So it's just things like that where Like, what are we what are we doing?
Where are we going? What direction is this whole, I mean, as far as human interaction and being kind and being human to one another, you know, where are we going with that? So, you know,
a lot of accommodation.
Yeah.
A lot of accommodation, and sometimes just like, you know, that's not what I want to do, you know.
That's not what I want for my child's future.
That's not what for my child. And what's crazy is when you say stuff like that, they'll look at you and then say that you're insinuating hate. It's like, I'm not insinuating hate. Just because I disagree with you doesn't mean I hate or any of those things. That's not my cup of tea, you know. Yeah. So that's all it is. That's all it ever is. You could disagree and still care for people. It doesn't change anything.
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody the other day about how we've evolved into this, you know, politically correct and everybody's truth is their truth, but you know, nobody wants it. But it's just all very chaotic, and something's got to give, because we're all at each other's throats, and it's just, I mean, every day you turn on and somebody's arguing with somebody and attacking somebody. It's just so toxic. It's just very toxic.
I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and she sent me a video. And, you know, once again, it was one of those videos where it was opinionated video on a guy saying something. And then if you you scroll down any further, you'll see a girl saying something. And it becomes this whole thing where man versus woman and woman versus man kind of thing. And the issue isn't a man problem. The issue isn't a woman problem. The issue is a people problem.
Yes.
You know, no one's talking. Everyone's kind of just bleeding and feeling and not really being accountable. Realistic accountability is one of the lost forms right now in this day and age. Everybody wants to, as you said, my truth. This is my truth. It's like, what does that mean? I don't even understand what that means. That's my what?
Yes.
And it's just like, no, there isn't. You can't compromise the truth. The truth is the truth.
That's right.
You know, my name is Andre Wright. There's not,
nothing.
Oh, you can't call me Andrew because it's like, oh, that's your truth. That's how my second cousin pronounces that. It's like that. What are you talking? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. And you know, it becomes the derivative of like just feelings. You know.
Yeah, you know.
It's like how I feel. How you feel isn't logical. The feelings aren't logical. We know this.
Yes.
Right. So you can feel however you feel, and you're more than capable and validated in your feelings. However,
my name is still Andre.
You know, so, you know, and it's crazy because being a parent is one of those things where you'll sit down with your kids, and your kids will be like, I don't feel like eating vegetables. It's like, oh, that's crazy. I'm sorry to hear that. However, you're going to eat the vegetables.
Thank you.
Because it's healthy for you. So now it's like, nowadays new age parenting is
very different. You gotta
let your children express and do this and that. I was like, don't get me wrong. I want my child expressed.
You know, and these are the same people that are going to grow up, and you're going to expect for them to kind of be there for you in your old age, but you've raised them gently, and they have just, you know, it's about me and mine, and they don't have any kind of human connect. I don't know. I don't know where we're going.
No sense of responsibility, no sense of empathy or compassion, or lack thereof. I won't say there's no such thing, but there'll be a heavy lack. Nowadays, you know, when I see people, you know, as they get older, their mother lives with them. Like, you know, usually the mother lives with them and stuff like that. That's how they're groomed. It's like when I get a certain age, my mom's doesn't have my father anymore, or whatever the case may be. And she's coming to stay with us. I don't whatever. She has her own room and whatever. And that's the kind of unity that we're kind of missing in this new generation, this upcoming generation, that understanding of unity, that understanding of family. It's just a selfishness nowadays. And when I say selfish, it's not bad to be selfish sometimes, but at the same time, it's like, ugh.
Yeah, for that to be your overwhelming, prevailing mentality and how you operate, you know, in selfishness, and it's about me. You know, like I tell people all the time, like, a lot of people today, they want respect, but they don't want to give respect, you know, and, you know, they don't want anybody to talk to them this way, but then they talk to people toxic. But it's very unbalanced.
It's crazy. It is crazy. You know, one of the things a lot is because I've gotten a lot older too, right? So I realize when you get to people like that, I talk to them very gently. I talk to them very calmly. I talk to them very kindly. And I'm like, listen, don't. Okay, because okay, I'm Jamaican.
Oh, okay. Say no more. Jamaican. Say no more.
I grew up old school. Okay, I grew up old school. You know, you don't talk to people crazy. You know, you don't disrespect people unless you're trying to go to other levels. But you don't talk to people crazy. So it's like you just talk to very gently. Like, hey man, you can't be talking to me like that. Like, just walk away. You know, I'm gonna walk away from this conversation. You know, because it doesn't make any sense otherwise. Because I'm not, because what people, you know, people are gonna try to catch you. You're gonna go having screaming matches. I'm not having a screaming match. I'm an adult.
Yes. I got things to do. I'm trying to get home to my son.
I gotta get home to my child. You know what I mean? And I pay my own bills. You know, like unless you're doing something for my life, you're not. You're causing me. You're messing with my peace. I was like, I don't got time for this.
That's true. That is so true. So true. We're on the same page. Well, so let me get on to back to you, because we could be here for a long time. I see. We got stuff to talk about. Yes. But I want to talk about the other things that you are doing, because you are not just the author of children's books. You are truly the multiple streams of income father. Let's talk about Lion's Den underwear. Let's start off with that. What's that about?
Lion's Den underwear is a luxury men's underwear. I have two partners I grew up with. Shout out to Omar and shout out to Chris. And we started this brand where, you know, essentially it's kind of like men's lingerie. You know, it's the occasional underwear. It's the weekend underwear, what we call it. So, you know, for the weekend, you know, when we used to go out, it's like, you know, you put on your freshest gear, you know, freshest outfit. And, you know, you want to put on your freshest drawers. You want to put on your freshest underwear.
In case something pop off later on. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're grown, so you're going to do some grown stuff. Or like you have a date or something. And like, you know, it's equivalent to, you know, when this is an argument for herself, when a woman wears matching underwear and she's going out with her man or a gentleman friend or whatever the case, it's equivalent to that. So, you know, it's like when I'm wearing my Lion's Den, my LDs, here we go.
Snap, crackle, and pop.
Yeah. Well, my Ryan Line fans, hey, listen, children weren't made here by accident or mistake.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They got here somehow.
But yeah, so it's a luxury. It's made from a unique fabric of bamboo. Yeah, it's very elegant. It's very soft. It's very comforting. People swear. I promise you, people swear by it. It's amazing how people's reactions, because the expectation is, okay, you're selling underwear, which is unique in itself. So they're when they touch it, they're like completely caught off guard by the fabric. I remember this when we went to a Christmas market last year, the year before, and this woman, she was doing like, I think she had a vlog or something. She's like, "What do we have here?" "Oh, Lion's Den underwear." And she's like, she touched it, and her reaction, I wish we recorded her reaction. She was like, "Oh my God!" And she was talking Jamaican. She's like, "Oh, what is? Baby, I make fun this, yeah." And she started going off. She started going off. And I was just like, wow. I was like, I wish you got that reaction. That reaction was perfect.
Oh, wow.
I recently did a photo shoot with Jonathan Harvey. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's kind of the guy in the car talking politics and stuff like that throughout the COVID. And he's gotten very popular.
But you're in Canada, right?
Yeah, I'm in Canada, yeah.
Okay.
So he was, he modeled my stuff, and he recently sent me a message like, "Yo, bro, honestly, these underwear, like, I love these underwear."
Wow.
So it's a lot of great reviews. Go check it out. Again, men's underwear. We also have a men's robe. Again, it's catering to the men,
okay.
Allowing them to feel like men. It's for the grown man that is a grown man that takes care of business, and is, we want to insinuate like confidence, you know what I mean, luxury, comfort, to these men, these working class men, these blue collar to 6 feet, whatever, okay. To all of them to make them
so
feel
affordable. Like a king.
He feels like a king. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Protect the king.
I love it. Now, another one of the projects that you are doing is Dad's What We Do. You mentioned that earlier. What is that about?
So Dad's What We Do is, again, essentially undergoing my own journey becoming a father, and the father that I am today is recognizing this void that we were discussing earlier, how fathers, especially Black fathers, not to escape away from fathers in general, but fathers in general don't get the respect. Black fathers, it's crazy. It's really crazy to me, growing up, with my son, being excited, being there for all the doctor's appointments, cutting the umbilical cord, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I can go on. Doing what a father is supposed to do, essentially. And just felt like I wasn't there, doctors, nurses, they wouldn't really look at me. And I was just like, I remember calling my cousin and was like, he's a father of 2 at that time. I was like, yo, bro, they don't see me. Mm-hmm. His response was, yeah, that's just what it is. And I realized a lot of men throughout my time feel this way. They don't feel seen, they don't feel respected, they don't feel really heard in society's view. Not to say within their own homes they don't get recognized, which is still a case. In a lot of cases they don't, but in society as a whole, really doesn't really recognize fathers, especially Black fathers. It wasn't until one day I remember nurses came to visit my son's mother at my house, and they came again, same thing, looked right through me. And I was just like, all right, cool. So they were in the living room. This is when my son just started crawling. He just learned how to crawl. So I was in the kitchen. I love this story because it was like that aha moment for me. So he would be with his mother, then he would get down and then crawl to me. And then he'd do the same thing, keep on going back and forth. Yeah. And then I heard one of the nurses go, oh, wow, he really loves his father. Like, it was a surprise. But I realized at that moment, it didn't matter what society felt. It didn't matter what anyone thought, as long as my son knew that daddy's right there, right? And that, daddy loves him, etc. He doesn't. If I try to tell my son, like, dude, daddy loves you, he'd be like, yeah, dad, I know. You tell me every day. He tells me this all the time. I was like, yeah, okay, just so you're aware, So That's What We Do is a page to reflect that for other men. There are so many men, and I've gotten the privilege and the honor, and there is such an inspiration to me. They keep me going, honestly, because I see some of the things that these men are doing, and it's just so inspirational what they're doing with how they're invested into their children, how they love their children. It's both hilarious and the connection, because mothers and fathers are different, both needed, equally important. Mm-hmm. But fathers have more fun with it, I think. Yeah. But fathers get away with a little bit more, right? As opposed to mothers. And it's fine because mothers are doing what they're supposed to do. Mothers are the nurturers, that's what they do. And they're wonderful at it, and they deserve all the admiration that they receive, honestly. All I'm saying is that fathers deserve some too, and it's amazing to see, there's an incident. I always make this correlation between the father or the mother, where, a mother could see their child fall, and the first thing is run to the child, like, are you okay? And they're supposed to do that. They are supposed to do that, right? Because that's their baby. They held him for 9 months. So I get it. That connection's deep. A father will understand the fall, look at the fall, and look at it like, no, you're okay. Mm-hmm. You're okay. Because the child instinctively will look to the parent and try to understand. Yeah. So I've seen it. I've witnessed it numerous times where the child won't start crying until you start making a face. So there's a lot of times, again, child falls, just like, get up, you're fine. Yeah. They might want to start crying. It's like, okay, yeah, I guess it's not that serious. And
I saw a comedian on Instagram, and he did a comic, a sketch about Black parenting, like don't look at him, if baby fall, don't look at him, don't look at him, you won't cry if you won't look at him, you know. So they do gauge their response.
They do.
You know,
they do. Children are. Here's the thing: children are perfect profilers in the sense of, when you talk about the psychology and micro expressions and stuff, they're great at that because I think language, what is it? Body language is the majority of what we speak nowadays.
Yes.
So that's because they don't really necessarily understand the words, but they will understand your body language. You tell your child, my son will know the difference between when I say, he'll ask me for something. He's like, "Oh, Dad, can we get KFC for dinner?" And I'll be like, "Okay, maybe." He's like, "Oh, okay, I know what that one means." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "No, that means we're gonna get it." That means when you're like, I was like, "What?" And I'll be like, "Okay, maybe," or however I say it. He's like, "Okay, well, I'm getting it then." Yeah. Or if I say different words or something like that, other than no, he'll be like, "Oh, okay, we're not getting it. Fine, whatever." And I was like, "How do they pay attention? They pay attention." So yeah, the page in itself is a dedication to the men out there, having fun being a father, representing being a father, challenging the narrative once again on, we're there. Fathers are there. We're capable and we're competent and we're doing the best that we can. And a lot of us, much like myself, didn't have a father. We don't have a blueprint. So we're making this up as we go along. Right? But we're having fun doing it. You know what I mean? And we're trying to become the person that we wish somebody else. I think I can speak for a lot of fathers. We're trying to become the person that we wish somebody was for us. And that's the placement where, right? To have someone there, someone to teach us certain things. Obviously we have our shortcomings. We're not perfect, not even close. But we try.
And I think a lot of you, especially you, are doing a phenomenal job, and there's no guidebook, they don't give you the baby and here's the instruction book,
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So exactly. You're doing the best. I mean, you're doing a wonderful, wonderful job. Now, let me ask you this before I ask my random question. Little man is how old, you said?
9 going on 34 next
October. So let's say, fast forward and he's about to graduate from high school or college or whatever. And he's having a conversation with you and he's like, "Dad, I'm so thankful you made me into the man that I am today. I learned this from you." What would you hope that it is that you've imparted into your son?
That's a very good question. To never lose faith, to be hopeful. I think, again, I'm a Christian man as well. I've had my back against the wall more times than I can count. And, the resilience and the faith that I have in God, or the resilience that God placed in my heart, has allowed me to continue to grow and fight back every time. So, honesty and integrity and all those things are great, but that fight, I think that fighting spirit that will allow you to overcome every obstacle. And you will get knocked down, you will get hurt, and you can lick your wounds for a while, but you can't stay there, and I think that's the thing. I think that's the thing.
Awesome. I love it. He's going to be an amazing citizen in society. He's just got a wonderful father. You're just pouring so much wonderful things into him. I'm assuming you didn't get to be that way by yourself. So I'm assuming there's a wonderful family support system.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you are Jamaican, and I have been adopted by so many Jamaican families as their own. So it's just a wonderful environment and atmosphere.
100%.
Just great. Well, let me ask you my random question, and then I want you to tell us how we connect with you. Maybe us little folks in the United States can get the two of you to come down here and do a book signing or something like that.
I have family in the States. I was actually raised in the States for first 7 years of my life. Okay. New York. I was raised in New York. Poughkeepsie, New York with my grandparents. Yeah. Okay. So that was my foundation, actually. That was what I'm talking about here, like She-Ra, He-Man and She-Ra, because I don't think they had those cartoons in Canada, but in the States they had them. So my grandparents, who I thought were my parents for the first few years of my life, with my foundation, understanding them. Yeah, they used to bring me everywhere. Again, love, support. Shout out to my grandma, shout out to my granddad. They're amazing. And my aunts, my uncle.
So the most of the family is in New York, or most of them are
like just my grandparents and some of my aunts, but I have a big family here in Canada. Like my mom's here, my cousins, some of my other aunts and stuff. And again, it was a big family,
All right, let me ask you my random question.
Okay.
Let's see what we got here. Okay, so because you said you didn't grow up with a dad, saying, what is the most useful thing your mom has taught you?
What is the useless emotion? Huh? What has she taught me? She taught me how to cook. Yeah, she taught me how to cook. She showed me a resilience that I talk about. She demonstrated resilience with her and a commitment to me. I remember her taking me to my Taekwondo classes. I remember we'd go to the mall. She'd help me with some of my school projects and stuff like that. I remember all those things. I remember the fierceness of my mom, actually. That was a big one. I remember one time, this is a funny story. I was in grade 8, and I was a bit of a class clown, not gonna lie. So my grade 8 teacher placed me in the back of the class. And the back of the class was it was a science class. So it was like next to a sink and stuff. So it was teacher parent interview, whatever. And, where all teachers, everyone's showing them their desk and whatever. And then I was like, hey, Mom, my desk is back here. And she's like, wait, what? And she's Jamaican. So you can imagine my mom's not like Jamaican, like, she's Jamaican, but, you could see the Jamaican come out. Like she's Canadian, but you could see the Jamaican come out of her.
Yeah, that fierceness,
Yeah, the fierceness. And it was just one of those things where, why are you sitting next to a sink? I didn't send you to school to go sit next to a sink. So she says, go outside of the classroom.
I got to have a word with the teacher for a second.
I'm going to have a word with your teacher. Now, granted, my mother is probably 5'7". My teacher is probably 6'3". I kid you not. Was 6'3". All I see was my mom turning and pointing at him, telling him why. I couldn't hear anything, but I can only imagine. He was giving him a cussing. I'll never forget that. Right after that conversation, he directed me to my new desk. And he always had this running joke. He's like, hey, Andre, how's your mom doing? Yeah, she was not in the play with.
Nothing to play with.
No, she was not. She was not. So she actually invoked that, because when it comes to my son too, it's the same thing where it's like, don't play with me, my job. Yeah. Awesome. So she did teach me that fierceness, that strength.
Beautiful. All righty, sir. So tell us how we pick up the books, how we get some underwear, how we contribute, how we contribute. A father might want to contribute to the Dad's What We Do project. Just tell us how we connect with you.
Okay, so I got a bunch of stuff. Okay, so you can follow me online at We Are Mr. Wright. That's my last name, so it's not to stroke my ego.
Hold on, pause, because everybody has their truth. It's WRIGHT.
HT, yes.
Okay, now go ahead.
So We Are Mr. Wright. If you want to get a copy of the book, you can go to RyanLineBooks. So you can go to www.RyanLineBooks.com. If you want to follow us online, you can go to Ryan Books, spelled with a Z at the end of books. For the men's luxury underwear, Lions Den Underwear, you can go to www.lionsdenunderwear.com. For Instagram, it's Lions Den Underwear. That's it. All one word. And for the Dad's What We Do, the best support you can do is just follow us on, because there's nothing. Again, this is more of a homage page. This is more of a celebrational page. This is more of let's challenge the narrative. Let's change it. You know what I mean? Like, share our stories, share some of that'd be a great way of supporting, because when my son becomes a father, I don't want him dealing with the same kind of or the lack thereof of celebration or appreciation of who he is as a father. So yeah.
Awesome. Love it. I love it. Well, Mr. Wright, W-R-I-G-H. From little old me, I just want to say that I just think that it's awesome and amazing. Everything that you are doing, what you're pouring into your son, what you're contributing to this world, what you're teaching, not only your son, but other children, people as in general, the message that you're sending out about fathers, I just think it's amazing, awesome, wonderful. Kudos from me. I know, you need to hear that. So kudos from me. And keep on doing the amazing stuff that you are doing in this world and for your little guy.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. No, I appreciate this honor. I appreciate, you give me this opportunity to speak to your audience and to be me. I'm doing the best that I can. So I appreciate you and everything that you're doing. I speak for everyone that you've ever interviewed. I'm telling you, you're doing a great work, because, we all need each other, honestly.
Awesome.
So thank you.
Thank you. That is all for this week's episode of The Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and I will see everybody next time.